Deborah Williams files counterclaim against villain Keiarna Stewart in 10 million Real Housewives of Potomac lawsuit. Exclusive details. All right, this story came out yesterday. And for those of you who have followed me from another panel, shout out to the diva. You all know how I feel about Candace. You all know how I feel about Monique. And you all know how I feel about that thing with Ashley. So I'll circle back and give you my thoughts, but let's get into this counterclaim. Deborah Williams has filed a counterclaim against Keiarna Stewart in their ongoing and very shocking $10 million Real Housewives of Potomac lawsuit. According to court documents filed with the D.C. Superior Court earlier this week, Deborah is denying all charges and painting Keiarna as the true villain. Quote, "It is obvious that defendant, Miss Keiarna Stewart, craves fame. She craves attention. So much so that she is willing to do just about anything to have her name broadcast on television and across social media." End quote. Reads the court filing obtained exclusively by TV Deets. This includes, quote, "instigating a fight, having that fight recorded, then sending the video of the fight to TMZ for it to be viewed on TV all over the world." End quote. Well, isn't that a game changer? Isn't that a game changer? Because those are details that are specifically easy to find out. It is easy to find out if you sent a recording of the fight to TMZ, because TMZ, in order for them to have that exclusive footage, they paid you. So there is a canceled check somewhere. There is a receipt of that. Also, whoever recorded that fight on the phone, that person, that's easily verifiable. Where did that video come from? So if Deborah is saying, hey, Keiarna is the one who orchestrated this, the person who recorded the fight is a friend of hers, Keiarna is also the one who got in touch with TMZ and sent the fight, I can believe that. I can totally believe it. And the reason I can believe it is because Keiarna anchored that position of being a victim on the show and used that, because they weren't going to bring Keiarna back for this upcoming season, but they brought her back because Candace wasn't coming back. And then to keep Deborah off the show, she filed this lawsuit, this frivolous lawsuit, because there was no reason for Deborah and Keiarna to have any physical contact. But Keiarna jumped into that. She jumped into something which had nothing to do with her, and now she's crying and playing the victim. I have a problem with Keiarna, absolutely. Let's continue. In the counter-complaint, Deborah alleges that Keiarna orchestrated the events outlined in the original assault and battery complaint. In the reality drama she has brought before the court, Miss Stewart is not a victim. In fact, she's the villain. The court docs read, quote, "In the true story, Miss Stewart is not the protagonist. She's the antagonist. The facts will show that Miss Stewart, with her insatiable desire to be known, orchestrated all the events outlined in her own complaint and in this counter-complaint. And in the end, the court will see, indeed, the country will see, that Miss Williams is the innocent party who has been severely damaged by Miss Stewart." End quote. Now, that's a lot right there. So this is supposed to be a court of law, and the way that this is written, I'm telling you, it's like a Donald Trump speech. She says, in the end, the court will see, indeed, the country will see. So, I mean, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to have cameras in the courtroom? Like, what is this? What do you mean the country will see? Girlfriend, you're being sued for $10 million. This is criminal. And you're talking about the world will see. Don't worry about us right now. You need to be worrying about you, your son, and your man's money. The hell is going on here? Let's continue. Like the original complaint, Candace Dillard Bassett and Ashley Darby are mentioned because of their involvement in the shocking fight, which ended up airing as part of Season 8 of Bravo's Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, let's pause. The reason why that's important is because the network profited off of all of that drama. That brought up the ratings because it was actually a snooze fest before that even happened. I remember when we were reviewing that, and so many people were talking about, okay, this is dragging out. The talking about I don't remember Aneka and Wendy and the mom being a witch and what have you. It was just getting very, very boring. We were tired of Robin. Giselle was giving us absolutely nothing. And so when that fight happened, that was kind of interesting. And the fact that the network paid for the footage and played it on television. Listen, Bravo and NBC Universal have been profiting from crime as entertainment for a long time. Long time. Let's continue. According to the document, Deborah ended up making guest appearances on the show after Ashley reached out to her and asked her to appear. Miss Williams agreed to appear on the show for one reason only: to support her friend Ashley Darby, reads the paperwork filed by Deborah's attorneys. According to Deborah's version of events, Candace was taunting her on the night of Ashley and Giselle Bryant's GNA launch. Like Kiana's original complaint, Deborah confirms that Candace was exchanging words with her the entire night before the fight erupted. Throughout this event, Miss Bass's verbal attacks were exceptionally vicious towards Miss Williams, reads Deborah's counterclaim. Let's pause right there. She's not lying. She's not lying. The problem is that Candace was making all of these comments on social media. She was making all of these comments in her green screen and during filming. And when Deborah wanted to straighten it out, I remember Candace act like she couldn't be bothered. But you don't call someone vermin, and you don't refer to them as racial slurs. And then when they see you, act like you don't want to hold a conversation. See, this was Candace's fight. And why Keiarna jumped in it blows my mind. I have no idea why the hell she did that. Let's continue. The name calling and instigation was abnormally excessive, seemingly intentional, provocative. And it was. End quote. It was. Candace, her mouth was absolutely terrible. And I can understand why somebody would want to reach out and put their hands on her. Candace, let's move on. Deborah is alleging that after exchanging words, Candace picked up a bottle of champagne as if to throw it at her, and at the same time, Keiarna escalated her defense of Candace, punching Deborah square in the face. According to the counterclaim, Deborah had never met Keiarna before the night in question and doesn't understand her involvement in the first place. Listen, same thing I just said. We saw Candace pick up that bottle like she was going to do something, but we all know from watching Candace she wasn't going to do a damn thing. So why Keiarna felt the need to step in between? She was intentionally putting herself in between two grown women who had a previous history of getting into it with one another, and rather than de-escalating the situation, Keiarna escalated the situation and put her hands on Deborah. This is absolutely factual based upon the video we all saw. Let's continue. Interestingly enough, Deborah's attorneys are also accusing the parties involved of staging the entire incident, pointing out that while Bravo cameras were reportedly down at the time of the incident, someone at the party was able to record the entire fight and leak it to TMZ. That said, she has seemingly not outed the person she feels may be responsible for setting up the fight yet. Now, that's the key word, yet. She knows who did it. Let's keep going. While Kiana is seeking a shocking $10 million in the case, Deborah is being slightly more reasonable with her counterclaim. According to the docs, the Real Housewives of Potomac guest star is looking for $3 million plus punitive damages, plus interest and costs for the assault and battery. In response to count one, assault and battery. When it comes to count two, intentional infliction of emotional distress, Deborah is seeking a judgment in the amount of $3 million plus fees, but is also looking for $1 million and costs, the defamation totaling a cool $7 million, give or take. Whew. See, I don't even know why these people get on these shows. You know you can't fight. You know you have a weak mental wall, weak emotional and mental stamina. You can't keep up with, in a width of words. You can't do a match of wits. And when things escalate to the next level, you want to run down to the courthouse and get the police involved. Oh, hell no. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Keiarna Stewart sues Deborah Williams for assault and battery over a Season 8 fight. As previously reported on TVDeets.com, Keiarna Stewart has filed a $10 million civil lawsuit against Deborah over their fight featured on Season 8 of Bravo's Real Housewives of Potomac. While Deborah Williams, who was introduced to the Housewives viewers as a friend of Ashley Darby, will not be featured on Season 9. Keiarna Stewart is returning as an official friend of the Housewives, and this lawsuit drama is expected to play out on the Bravo show when it returns later this year. See, here we go. Bravo is using crime as entertainment. If this whole fight goes against the company values and what they want the show to represent, then why in the hell would you be letting this drama play out on the show when it returns later this year? See, that goes back to Deborah's claims that the world will see that this girl is really the antagonist. These people are putting on a show and they're wasting the court's time. You're wasting the court's time. They're using this as a storyline, both of them. It's reprehensible. As previously reported on TVDeets.com, The Real Housewives of Potomac is currently in production on Season 9 with Karen Huger, Wendy Osefo, Ashley Darby, Giselle Bryan, and Mia Thornton returning as full-time housewives. They will be joined by new full-time housewives Stacey Rush and Jassy Riddick, with Keiarna Stewart and Jacqueline Blake in Friend of the Housewives roles. TV Deets is the source for all things Housewives of Potomac, yada, yada, yada. Listen, ain't nothing to see here. If you ask me, and I'm willing to be wrong, the judge will handle this, if they have any sense, the same way that they handled Monique versus Candace. Throw this whole thing out. It's mutual combat. These are housewives acting like housewives. NBC, Universal, and Bravo, they have a bad reputation. These ladies have a bad reputation. These ladies act poorly in public. And there should be no judgment. You take care of your injuries, you take care of your injuries. Get the hell out of my courtroom with this.